Just north of downtown Seattle is Lake Union. On the north shore of the lake is Wallingford, bounded by Fremont on the west and the University District on the east. The main entrance to Wallingford is along 45th Street. The main north-south street, Wallingford Avenue, offers a view of Lake Union. Seattle was settled on Elliott Bay. The surrounding country was dense forest, so transportation was limited to foot, horse, and boat. Wallingford was also heavily timbered. Seattle was a rapidly growing town, doing well in lumber, coal, and fishing. It was the central point of commerce, visited by many steamboats. Only a creek separated Ballard from the main part of the city. Ballard was a logging company town, then called Farmdale. In the 1880s, there were only a few houses on the north shore of Lake Union. Green Lake John had his lonely cabin on the small lake to the north, which is on the left edge of this map. To get from Seattle to the settlements to the north of Lake Union, it was necessary to take a horse-drawn streetcar from downtown through farms and orchards to the south shore of the lake. The fare was 5 cents. Then a small steamboat, such as the Latona, had to be taken to the north end of the lake. There were steamboat stops at Edgewater and Latona. The Seattle Lakeshore and Eastern Railroad was built along the north shore of Lake Union in 1887. Two of its organizers were Thomas Burke and David Gilman. The Lakeshore and Eastern ran from the foot of Columbia Street to Smith Cove to Fremont, along the north shore of the lake, and then to Lake Washington. The plan was to build the line all the way to Spokane, but the final result was limited to Snoqualmie Falls, which was not a small feat. Each train consisted of one passenger coach, one freight car, some flat cars, and logging cars. Notice that this Seattle Lakeshore and Eastern locomotive is named the D.H. Gilman. Other forms of transportation traveled on the flanged wheel, such as these streetcars. Seattle was the first city west of the Mississippi to be graced with electric trolley service. Streetcar lines were built by real estate dealers in order to open up new land. A streetcar line was built to Fremont, which connected with the logging road that ended at Green Lake. Men interested in real estate in the Wallingford area extended the streetcar line and platted the adjacent land. They planned to pay for the line by selling real estate. C.P. Stone, one-time mayor of Seattle, owned and platted 160 acres on the north shore of Lake Union, some of which was in the Wallingford neighborhood. John Wallingford was a real estate dealer who platted several areas of Wallingford, the neighborhood which now carries his name. He was a member of the city council and made his home on 6 acres of Green Lake shoreline. The Latona Bridge was built by David T. Denny for his electric streetcar line, which ended at Latona. Another bridge was built at Stone Way. Note the Western Cooperage, the gray 3-story building near the center. It still stands today. Woodland Park was originally the estate of Guy C. Finney, a wealthy Englishman who bought the land in the 1880s. Finney had a streetcar line built to the park. The park was a quiet retreat with wooded paths and boating facilities on the lake. Because of financial difficulties, Finney had to sell the park to the city in 1900. Bicycling became very popular in the 1890s. The city engineering department built bicycle paths in pleasant parts of the city. Such as on the shores of Lake Washington and Green Lake. The area north of Lake Union was annexed to Seattle in 1891. Fremont was a little village with a milling company, a tannery, stores, a hotel, and a meeting hall. Edgewater had 4 big farms owned by Day, Bowman, Stone, and Ashworth. Latona had a post office and a few stores. A streetcar passed over the bridge through the village and on to what is now the University District. Wallingford featured simple architecture before 1900. Some of the homes pictured here are still standing. Beginning at the turn of the century, more elaborate homes were built, such as this one built in 1900. This is its barn. This school was called Interlake School because it was halfway between Green Lake and Lake Union. It was built in 1904 and was one of Seattle's largest elementary schools. When it was first built, a path had to be cleared down from 45th from the school to Stone Way. In Latona, classes were first held in 1889 in a church. This frame building was constructed in 1906. The brick wing was added in 1918. There were few buildings surrounding Lincoln High School when it was built in 1907. The home of the Good Shepherd was built in the same year. The Catholic Order of the Good Shepherd Sisters kept the facility for homeless and delinquent teenage girls. The home had elegant gardens and a large orchard. To help pay for the operation of the facility, the sisters ran a commercial laundry for hotels and the railroad. In 1906, the Seattle Lighting Company built a gasworks on the north shore of Lake Union. The plant gave off smoke and soot, blackening the homes of the neighborhood. There were cracking towers, compressors, flywheels, and pipes. Railroad cars came over the trestle arches for bottom dumping of coal and coke. The mound served as a dump for various construction sites. In 1911, construction began on the Lake Washington Ship Canal, which was completed in 1917, allowing ships to pass from Puget Sound to Lake Union and Lake Washington. The fire station, now used as a police station, housed horse-drawn engines. What are now large windows were once big accordion doors for quick exit. Old-timers remember 1916, the year of the big snow. This photo was taken from Lincoln High School. Ashworth Avenue is on the left. The church in the middle is the Central Presbyterian Church, and it's still there. Wallingford continued to grow as a residential area. Streetcars continued as the principal mode of transportation, but autos were beginning to compete. The popularity of the streetcar was not helped by this accident on Stone Way. 45th became crowded with autos. Lincoln High School was the center of community life. Teachers and students of Lincoln relax on the lawn. The year is 1916. The senior class president, Dean Boyle, in his football garb sometime in the 20s. This is Dean dressed to kill at about the same time. The 1920s were the years of the small business. Billy could only handle one customer at a time inside his store. Others had to wait their turn on the sidewalk. This grocery store was not much larger. This storefront still stands today. Some Wallingford businesses have become known citywide. Tweedy and Pop, yes, those really were their names, entered into partnership in 1921. Lincoln Pharmacy began business in Wallingford in 1914 and at one time was one of the largest independent drugstores in Seattle. The corner grocery store is still a trademark of the Wallingford neighborhood. Many types of small businesses gather around the corner grocery. Larger businesses in the area have included Buchan's Bakery, the Western Cooperage, and Dunn Lumber. The Outlook started out as a shopping newspaper. Operated until recently by Milton Stapp and his brother Stan, the paper has served the community for many years. The bulk of the homes in Wallingford were built in the 1920s and 30s. Nearly every available lot was filled. It was one of the fastest growing urban areas in the nation, its central location serving as a crossroads for the North End. A new bridge was needed to handle the increasing volume of automobile traffic. For 7 years, the community campaigned for construction of the bridge. Some controversy centered around the best location. The George Washington Memorial Bridge, better known as the Aurora Bridge, was completed in 1932. In 1948, the Wilmot family donated this house for use as a library. Funds were raised by the community to finance the remodeling. New uses are being found for old landmarks. Along the right-of-way of this railroad, originally built by Thomas Burke and David Gilman, is now found the Burke-Gilman Bike Trail. The home of the Good Shepherd, saved by the Wallingford Community Council from being turned into a shopping center, now functions as a multi-service center for the community. On every corner are reminders of our history. Densmore was captain of a coal barge on Lake Union. Ashworth was one of the area's first farmers and served as postmaster for a time. Stone Way is named for a mayor of Seattle who platted much of Wallingford. A little curiosity and closer inspection will reveal such things as the stairs to the first non-farmhouse in Wallingford, and some of the early bricks in the community's streets. Wallingford remains a pleasant residential community on the hill overlooking Lake Union, and history continues to be quietly made by the community's residents and businesses.